Hello, everyone. It's Thursday, October 12th. This is the Ingress NGINX meeting is a sub-project of the SIG networking, which means it's a CNCF project, and we are adhere to the CNCF code of conduct. If you have any issues with anyone, please report those to myself or Ricardo or the SIG networking lead. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. I would like to think that it would have been a little bit more action-packed with all the CVEs that come out. So it's a CVE week this week. I think we've just patched 5, 6 major CVEs. So we've got the curl one through. We've got the HTTP 2 bug and a couple Go ones that we've just released. I know we're just finished up with the 193 release, and I think 184 is still going through some of the CI changes. So those should be all out today. That's the big thing that we should talk about. I don't know. Ricardo, your thoughts on that. Like, it was a full day and a half of effort for us, I think, to get that out. So I don't know if we want to do a retro, talk about that now, if we just want to roll into doing a working session or have a conversation about V2. I know we've also got, I know I keep adding to this question. We've got our talk for KubeCon to think about. So lots of stuff to discuss.
Yeah, so maybe we can just do a quick retro on today. I think it's we can get what went well and what needs improvement, because then we can probably improve for the next run, right? So I would say that for me, what went well was that we could have a really quick answer on that, and actually we got even some feedback on the community, folks. Like the NGINX patch wasn't us. Someone just went into the upstream patch and patched it. So Go one as well. So we got a pretty quick response, and I think that the community is happy with that by the feedback that we got on the tracking issue. It was a really hard release to make because now we have actually 2 releases ongoing, which are 1.8 and 1.9, right? So this branch thing, on one hand, it's pretty good for us because we can do those patches without getting the changing breakers that we've been working on main. But on the other hand, it was pretty complicated at some point in time. So I think that this is an improvement that we need to have. Like we can stick with the branch, but we need to sit down and think how this should work, how all of the automation should work, like change logs, Helm charts. I've seen that you put some Helm chart on the release branch as well. But I'm pretty happy, actually, to be honest. Like I've left yesterday, things running, and then almost everything went fine, but AJP. So from my side, I think that the retro is like things actually went pretty well for the release, right? It went 1.5 days, and I think that we should just think why it took that time, and mostly was compilation and CI tests.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I think we've talked about this. I think I talked about this in one of the KubeCon talks, is that it takes about 4 hours for NGINX to compile across the 4 architectures that we support, 4 or 5 architectures that we support. So anytime we need to make a change there, and then 45 minutes to an hour for CI tests to run. And we did that across 2 releases, 6 Kubernetes, or I forget. It's 4 Kubernetes versions. Wow. Yeah. And we're testing the annotations, the Helm charts, CH root, which hopefully we can get rid of for V2. So it's a lot to test before we can do a release and be confident in a release. So yeah, no, I agree. It's a lot of it was just waiting, and then the bouncing back and forth between our day jobs and waiting for PRs and waiting for testing. So I don't know what we could do to make that any faster besides shave some things off from PR perspective. And so we've got a lot of things to think about, and we've been thinking about them for a while still trying to put releases out there.
And there is also the situation that we need to build the NGINX image first, and then we need to build the controller later. And all of this chained building actually takes a lot of time as well. right? So that's something that we need to consider. We have a lot of like we have bumped yesterday, I think 7 or 8 images, right? Not just only in NGINX, but all of the models that were compiled with that, even using dynamic models. So yeah. So I think that the thing that we should probably think on how to improve is actually the time, or at least how can we optimize the release process more, right? Because today we don't release that fast because it's kind of it's even with all of the automation, it's still painful for us.
Yeah, there's still a couple manual handoffs between the promotion and getting that promoted image in, and then letting the CI run again. So there's sometimes that we don't have to have the CI run. So that yeah, I think we're always going to be looking to can we improve the release process. I had a PR out there, I think, testing where if we could do it all in one, the NGINX and the controller. So there's lots of ways. There's lots of ways that we can do that. Yeah, I think we just need to have a separate brainstorming session to continue that path.
Yeah. Overall, the
So
retro, it's this for me. Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay. I think actually while we're on here, let's go look and see because I wasn't sure how the Helm release would work for 4.7.2, so I'm just gonna keep talking about releases. And it looks like it may have not worked like I thought it would because it's probably gonna yell at us about versions.
Tag
4.7.2.
already exists.
Yeah, it should. Did it? It must have not updated. Since 1.8.1 changed, yeah. 4.7.2. 4.7.2 would have been a new update because I don't think there's a 4.7.2 on main. Live
Do
debugging
we
is
have?
fine.
Can you go to releases? Go back.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, there was no 4.7.2. Oh
There
yeah, there was
is.
for 1.8.2. It should have bumped it. Wonder why it didn't bump it. Yeah.
Maybe go back. Go to the release branch 1.8. Change it. Release 1.8.
It should have
Yeah.
bumped it.
Open the chart and change it to version. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change that.
Yeah. That's okay. We can just change this one without automating. I mean, you can just edit the chart and the other things to do version 4.7.3. But if you do
Yeah.
that right now, we are going to break the change logs and other things. So we should probably do all of this
Yeah,
on a
with the
separate
actual
batch.
automation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made
I can work on that on the afternoon if you want. It's
yeah.
okay.
I don't know why Mage didn't bump it. Oh,
No, I
you know,
think it's
I know what happened because I generated it because we've been switching to main and with the
yeah.
new update that you did with Mage. I did it from the release branch and it didn't have 4.7.2, so it thought it wasn't there. Okay.
Yeah,
That that's
we
good
need
to
to
know.
fix Mage. We need to fix Mage to work on the release branches. That's one of the things that we need to do. And on
Yep.
main, we don't have tags. We don't have anything else. Just main, right? And we
Yep.
can keep doing the main releases on main and telling people that they should be using the release branch. The only thing that will break it's probably the documentation. But on the documentation, even on the documentation, we can later change MK docs to use the release branches and have like the latest and the other things and tell people that they should be pointing to those places, right? So it's fine.
Yep.
Let's think on that on a follow up. Right now we can just fix that manually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
We can probably sit down during KubeCon on a pub and discuss that and draw things and get our release managers, Carlos and Adolfo, to actually propose a better thing for us. Yeah. Cool. Do we want to move next?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about 110?
Yeah.
Because I would think that was the conversation or topic, was 110. Um,
Yeah.
did we, I didn't get a chance to follow up. Did we already have an open issue discussing
Yeah.
deprecating these guys?
Yeah. So it's good that Brian is actually here as well, because I think that this is probably going to be something that Datadog folks, they're going to reach him, or reach F5 folks. I don't know, right? So I have added some update on that issue that I have proposed deprecating all of those things, open tracing, Zipkin, Jaeger, and also telling Esan that my goal is actually not to use the community open telemetry anymore, but use the one that was released by F5. There was one recent release, and I think that's really good for us to do that, because it's going to remove a lot of things that we have during our compilation, like TPP, YAML, whatever, JSON, whatever. It's just running inside NGINX. Azan told me that it's fine. Apparently, everything works fine. But there is that issue with the Datadog folks, because they have some specific third-party things that they do on Open Telemetry that they have been discussing with Open Telemetry community. And that what they said on the issue was that probably this is not going to be even supported on the F5 folks, right? On the F5 model. So it's a trace specific thing. I don't know very much how this works. Sorry, folks. My proposal for that is we move with the deprecation on version 110. I think we should probably be doing that and using just the F5 one, because this is going to reduce our toil and compilation toil a lot. But I want to think on a way to work with third-party models and third-party annotations in the future, right? So I think that the Datadog case, it's valid. They were super helpful with us in the sense, like, yeah, we can help, we can work with the community to make it work. I don't know how this is going to work with the official model or not. So after the AJP change that I did for the 182, for this release that we did right now, getting the dynamic models, I was thinking, how can we, at least for those models like Datadog and the other ones, how can we allow those folks to propose their own third-party models to NGINX without being something that we support? Like, I don't support the Datadog model, but I do allow you to, on an easy way, inject your model and provide a solution to the users, right? So yeah, if you want to use Datadog model, you just apply the Helm chart of NGINX and add some specific whatever volume, whatever, and it's going to work, right? Or change the template. So I think that we could probably think on that in a way, saying like we avoid external dependencies or being tied to a specific provider. Like, we don't do specific things just for Datadog or for whoever comes, like Splunk, I don't know, right? But we allow them to add their own features and as a documentation, as an extra documentation. So I think it would be good if we could do that. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Can you find the Datadog conversation and drop that in here?
Yeah. Keep doing your thing. I will just 1 second.
Yeah. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
No, I was just kind of curious about the conversation myself. That's something I think would be interesting to look into to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
worries.
Let's see if I can find it. I think it's this one. Yeah, I'm sending that one to you folks on Zoom. Here we go. This is the issue that was opened by Datadog folks. It's David. Sorry, I'm bad at names. And when he saw that we were proposing to deprecate open tracing and Jaeger and Zipkin, he came and say, hey, so Datadog has this specific third-party thing that there is a pretty good explanation. You know, my ADHD sometimes forbids me to read those explanations, but if you scroll down, you are going to see that there is an explanation on why Datadog has its own model and how they do this specific trace injection. And even then say that was fine, and they were having some conversation on that. So I think that it does make sense if they can add this to some, like if this is something that's a standard or something that can be used to extend even other providers, I think they should just talk with F5 folks and say, yeah, maybe it's something that we can support easily or not, right? So that's up to you folks. But I have added my comments on that as well.
I'll make the team aware of this and see what they think.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for both companies, to be honest. I think that you both probably have common customers, and for us it's just great because we can just remove a lot of things from our compilation.
Yeah, and I know our investment in OTel is not done. So there's definitely more OTel things coming. So
yeah, I need to invest on knowledge myself. I just know that you point to somewhere and OTel just works.
Well, it's so for example, like tracing today, it's just tracing today, but there's logs coming, there's metrics coming, so we can kind of stream all those things out through OTel. That's all. That's all part of the standard, that they're just not as mature as what tracing is. That's all.
Yeah. But no worries on that. That's cool. So this is the OTel thing that was pending. The other thing, so I have a bunch of things for version 110, James, if you want to go through them. Sorry?
I know that was the big one.
Yeah. So I think it's good actually, because we need to have those things. So I have started working on splitting control plane and data plane, as I've been trying to do for the last 1.5 years. But the model that we are following today and the way that we have everything inside the container, it's just too hard. The things, they are too tied one with other. And then based on a conversation that I had with you and that I had with Tim Hawking as well and some other folks, I just stepped back and say, okay, let me try to make it really simple and stupid with a sidecar, right? And even doing really simple and stupid with a sidecar, that there is few problems because we can't mount the same volume of the configuration without breaking things or overwriting some things that are required by our Ingress. So one thing that I wanted to do on 110 is actually split all of the configurations, all of the directories inside the container with things that are static, like MIME types, models, and things that are not going to be written by the controller, versus the configurations that should be written by the controller, which are the secrets, the NGINX configuration file, and the open trace and open telemetry JSON that are specific for that, right? And eventually mod security. And I have started mapping that. And then I figured out that we had things like GeoIP legacy that we had to remove, and that GeoIP database was committed and so on. So my plan,
that's third party.
Yeah, that's right. And this thing is actually broken, I think, because of GeoIP. And so my first goal on that is just like, as soon as we got the GeoIP thing merged, which is going on, right? We've been just waiting for the CVE. My next step is to get that PR merged on a proper way and tested, in the sense that everything is just split inside the container, and that for the data plane container, we can share the volume between controller and data plane just for the configuration, and nothing is going to break, right? So that's my goal for that. Based on that, so when we do that and we know like, hey, we have this well mapped, I have mapped on documents and other places, then we can start working on splitting the control plane and data plane, because we will know what the controller writes versus what shouldn't be written and target on that, right? So will the controller just write on the shared directory and trigger a reload? Or will the controller run inside the data plane and actually get things from the real controller and do a reload? So we can work on that. It's not going to be the end architecture for that, in the sense that we wanted to do something better, right? Having that control plane, data plane, gRPC, gateway API, two controllers versus like a load of data planes. It's not going to be the end architecture, but at least we are going to have split between what's the control plane, what should be reaching Kubernetes API, and what it's like getting connections from internet and so on, and shouldn't have any kind of access, right? So the real goal would be just like removing service account, removing everything else, and we are going to isolate NGINX. And yeah, that's the plan. That's the initial plan for that, right? So that's why actually I've been circle around other small issues, because every time I found one of those small things that may be hard to do this sidecar, I prefer to fix that first and then go back to the sidecar, right? Instead of doing workarounds that we are going to need to revert later. Which brings me to the other subject, that is TLS pass-through, right? So TLS pass-through today, it's a really specific case, because today we do TLS pass-through on the controller, right? So when you enable TLS pass-through, there is a port that's open on the Go program. And this port does the proxy to the data plane, does the TLS pass-through, because back in the time when this was implemented, NGINX didn't support trim, SSL pre-read, and on those things from TLS pass-through, right? So that's the next thing that I'm going to do before doing the real split, the real control plane data plane split, because we need to make sure that TLS pass-through actually enters via NGINX and not via the controller, because the controller is not going to receive any connection anymore, right? So that's my next thing. And I am yeah, go for it.
That also already has an open PR2 as well, somewhere.
Yeah. But that's stale. That one is stale. I've been doing some experiments on my machine using NJS and sockets, and it's working locally. But I need now. So I've been trying to balance between my weekends and doing those things, and
yeah,
that's the next thing, right? So I'm a bit worried on the way that I did, because I'm not a JavaScript developer at all. But I am not even a Lua developer at all, and I don't want to add more burden into the Lua side. So with the recent releases from NJS, allowing to use shared maps and other things, the whole reconfiguration, the whole dynamic reconfiguration, it's fine. So that's my target right now. It's getting that and telling people like, hey, this is alpha, so please be careful with that, test that. Going to NGINX Slack and asking for some review. I know that there is a channel on that for NJS as well, and enabling on our image in NJS, adding restrictions so people don't use NJS as they keep exploring Lua as well, right? So trying to block NJS arguments on the configuration file, and saying, okay, cool. So NJS works or works-ish. And at least we can start slowly using and adopting that with TLS pass-through, which is today it's kind of a broken feature that we have, right? It works, but there are some specific things that doesn't work, like proxy protocol and other things on TLS pass-through. Everything goes through the controller. So that's my next. So as soon as I finish those small things like GYP and splitting the configuration files only, my next big-ish movement, it's to finish that TLS pass-through and not changing the tests. So I want the same thing that works on the tests today, they should keep working, right? That's my goal, using NJS and other things. I don't want this to be a breaking change for users. I want this to be a breaking change for us in the sense that the way that we do. Okay.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah.
All right.
And the last one is deprecating S390. I think that's a good one that we've been discussing, and it's getting a lot of engagement, right? So that's
in 110.
Well, OpenTelemetry is already broken on S390.
It's broken because ChainGuard doesn't support S390, and OpenTelemetry
Yeah,
moved to the
yeah.
ChainGuard image.
But I think that's so. I know that there is a bunch of discussion on that. I feel SUSE and IBM folks on that, like, hey, we use that. But as a community, and the same thing that I say to Datadog folks, I think it applies to S390, which is we don't need, we need actually support. And that's not just about research, but that's about people going and fixing for those architectures, right? We can't test on those architectures today. While on the other ones like ARM, we have macOS, we have Raspberry Pis, we have all of those things that we can use and so on. And that's a well-known architecture, Intel architecture as well. So that's kind of hard, in my opinion, to take that decision. We did for PowerPC 64 as well on the past. I don't know if you remember that, but we have dropped PPC 64 as well, which was an architecture for IBM machines. But I'm happy actually to have the compilation easy for them. But I'm not sure if we can keep supporting the building of those things with all of those if else's paths, and taking 4 hours to compile because like 10 minutes is for the well-known architectures and 3 hours is for like S390. Even they saying, yeah, we can provide you a machine, but providing us machine is just going to be something else that we will need to maintain, right, for the builds. And I really don't have time for that. Like, and that's honestly, I don't think you do as well, to maintaining a new machine, a new build system, and so on. So I would prefer actually to make it open how to create your own NGINX distribution and tell them like, hey, you can go and do and build and maybe have your own branch or whatever and cherry pick the things. We can help you with that. But I'm not sure if we can keep on this path right now of keep maintaining architectures that are just a burden for us, right? So, and this is mostly because also we have a lot of compilation on C and C++ that we cannot maintain. In the future, if we say we just use NGINX and dynamic models that compile, we don't have a lot of dependencies, maybe we can just do it again, right? Until like, hey, if S390 doesn't work, you just go and complain with Brian because it should work on any architecture, right? But then Go should compile on any architecture. But right now, it's, at least for me, it's too much. And like, it's too complicated. We keep doing things complicated just for specific architectures.
Yeah,
And I
no,
would try to make it on 110 if it's okay.
yeah, there's a lot that's a lot of action packed into 110. And obviously with our release branches, we can make these incrementally. So 110, we could make the first one. The first 110 could be dropping S390X. And then as the other ones are available, we'll keep rolling them in. The splits, TLS pass through, all of those things. So we can at least continue the rolling train, because I think we've had a release monthly. So we'll probably want to continue that. So maybe think about in November cutting 110 and starting that one. And then also dropping. So the conversation, I know it's difficult, and maybe that's what we need to focus on, is when we say releases. So our releases, we probably should just support 2 releases. So right now, since we have the release branches, we were supporting 1.8 and 1.9. And then we won't cut or backport once we cut 110. Because it's just, again, it complicates it until we can get the automation down. Because a release still supports multiple versions of Kubernetes. So we're still going to support N minus, I think we're up to 4 now. Whenever we get the long term, is it just 3 still?
I think it's, no, we are supporting 4. Yeah, we are supporting 4. Kubernetes supports 3, but we support 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were working on getting it to the N minus 5, because that was the long term support conversation was N-5. So a release is still going to support that. And I think we should do N-2. So 110, 19. We'll backport for 19s for CVE fixes, and bug fixes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I totally agree with that. I think that we should, and that's why I said we should probably fix our release process, because as soon as we have that fixed, it's going to be easier just to port bug fixes back to 1.8 and 1.9, right? And telling people like features and all of those breaking changes, they're going to be on minor releases, or if that's a huge architecture change, we are going to do a major release, like splitting control plane and data plane would be a major release probably, right? But I agree with you, and so I think that maybe we can say that those things on 110, those breaking changes on 110, for me at least, TLF pass-through, which is not a breaking change, but open tracing, open telemetry, and GeoIP but they are kind of small hidden breaking changes. Maybe it's not going to hit a lot of folks specifically, right? If open telemetry keeps working with previously how users configured, it's going to be fine, and it's just going to be problematic for Datadog folks, and also GeoIP, it's the same thing, right? So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure if you should drop S390 on the next release or not. But I am on the opinion that if we remove the band-aid fast, we are not going to feel that pain, right? And this is something that we've been talking for a long time now, and how this is breaking our builds for a long time now, right? So as an example, I was yesterday doing the 125 experiments, and I just faced it that the Lua compilation is still pretty old on S390. We have that if architecture equals to S390, use that fork, Lua, whatever, right? So yeah, this is gonna bite us back, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, the Lua integrations are much older for S390X.
Yeah,
they're just, I don't think whatever. The Lua doesn't support them, or at least supporting it on the newer version. So it's going to be an issue. Okay, we can continue to have the conversation in the issue that you've opened, and we'll just continue to make those cherry picks as those changes come up. I know I still need to write the release. So when we say like configuration changes, there's configuration changes, there's API changes, architecture changes, there's all kinds of different changes. So like, and then how we go about the release. I know that document still needs to be written. So that'll probably be part of our KubeCon talk as well. Okay.
Yeah. Go for it.
I don't know if I have the energy to do the issue triage, and we still have to go fix the 184 release.
No,
so
I would skip that. So yesterday I was while I was waiting for the builds, I was closing some old issues, some old support issues, some stale issues that got no answer from users for some time. Our pull request queue is pretty big.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah, and I'm kind of that's 99% of my fault on that, because I've been focused on actually trying to reduce things before adding new things, and I honestly am having like 2 to 3 hours a week to do those stuff. But my plan actually, it's as soon as I can. So let's finish these releases. I will move on with the duplication of GeoIP, and probably move next to getting the new open telemetry thing working.
yeah,
Saying, okay, this is the rolling deprecations that we wanted to do. And then I will start checking at least the pull requests that are marked as bug fixes, and the one that got the one with config map and proxy headers that got all of those discussions to get it shipped, right?
There was also one that's interesting that I remember reading through, and it might have been in Slack. I don't know if there was an actual GitHub issue, and I don't know how we're doing it. Maybe this is a conversation we can have with the NGINX folks. there was a conversation that someone pointed out that the requests per second drop dramatically once they enable regex. And when I'm talking dramatically, I'm talking like I think I saw like 17,000 to like 100. I
I
don't
think I've
know.
seen this issue yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in Go or if that's an NGINX issue. So I don't know where that regex, because I think it's an annotation, isn't it? It's an
Yeah,
annotation that
regex.
pass it to a
Yeah,
config. So I don't
yeah.
know, Ryan, if you're still there with us. I know your camera's off. If you guys have seen any issues with regex parsing, causing drops in performance.
Yeah,
But we
nothing's
are
been.
using a pretty old version as well, right, James? Version 121. So
Yeah, I was about to say I haven't heard anything that's been specifically reported through either through the core team around that. So
Yeah, let
yeah,
me find it. I don't remember if it was an issue on NGINX or on this issue, or if was something just reported in Slack. Let me go look. It was concerning. Just it shouldn't be that huge of a drop. But that was the only other of the issues I've been looking at. Maybe not actually just triaging, just reading through. I think that was the one that stuck out.
yeah.
Let me go find that. It might have just been in Slack. And then also I know Brendan was moving. I know he was moving countries, and it might have been over. So I'm gonna reach back out to him and see if he can help with that PRQ.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds good. It would be really helpful. One thing that it's concerning me that I need to fix is this one. Can you see it? This is the one that was inserted based on validation annotation validation. So it's
Okay.
broken on 190, but it's not broken on 19, but not broken on 18. So I need to take a look at what's going on, because even with the validation off, we are still applying regex validation on some specific cases. So I need to take a look. This one is on my radar as well. I know that folks has been waiting us to fix, and I told them like, sorry, we are just running against the CVE, which is something big. But my plan is to fix that one. And there is the other thing on, I'm not sure for 110, but on NGINX version 125, right? So maybe I wanna keep rolling the new NGINX version, even if it's not yet released by OpenBREST. I think it's been too long since we've been waiting. Probably that's something that we can.
Sorry, I found the issue, and I'm asking the user to put in a
Yeah,
support.
no worries.
Brian, here, I'll drop this in the chat so you can, in this Zoom chat. But I asked them to put in a
yep, perfect. Thank you.
GitHub issue. And it was the rewrite. It wasn't regex, sorry. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go look
Yeah.
at the 184, get that released, and go from there. And then once 184 is out, I will dump it in the support channel, and I will put it out to all of the other places, Twitter, the dev mailing list, and then clean up and close out the issues, the tracking issue, and then the CVE requests issues.
Hey, so I will create this new image directory just for 125, so we can build those separately, right? And we can during the build. My plan is just to remove that later, but during the build, I want to have this 125 in build.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe can we run the K6 performance test? Because I think the issue, right, that you said you saw was that we had some core dumps. So the only way I know is to just have K6 hammer it.
You mean still on the regex one, right?
No, not the regex, like the 125, the change that you're making to get 125 in.
Yeah. I wanna release some alpha thing, so we don't break our release branches and other things. That's why I'm planning on on creating a different. I mean, I'm really gonna copy the directory like images / NGINX to images / NGINX 125 or NGINX alpha or whatever. But instead of doing the promotion and the release, my plan is just to build that image locally and push to Docker Hub, whatever, during the build. So we don't need to pass all through that things. And then we can open a new PR that we keep just changing the NGINX base to that one and saying, yeah, this works, this doesn't work. Maybe doing alpha releases on that, just so we can
Have to go through the full promotion.
yeah.
What about pushing it to I think I saw there was Slack conversation about just putting it in GitHub's container registry.
Yeah, that's still ongoing. I have reached some folks from SIG-Infra and GitHub management. There is no official answer other than open an issue on GitHub Kubernetes/org ID, and that's there. So I told Arnaud and Bob that I will, if I got a timeout on that, I would just start pushing images until someone tells me that I cannot push images.
Yeah,
but I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that directly, but it's open, and it would be great if we could just use the packages and the registry from GitHub, even because it's on our CI. It's gonna be really fast, right? And we are not planning to promote those images. I don't wanna have official images there. I just want to have the intermediate images there, like in NGINX, end-to-end test runner, and all of those.
yeah, and that's what we'll have to be clear with folks, is that these are alpha. The official ones still come from the Kubernetes registry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Ricardo, for going through that with us. Brian, thanks for listening in. Tell Dylan we miss him.
He should be back. He should be back. I'm not sure when, but I'll need to find out from him.
Yeah.
All good.
And tell folks to keep doing the great job in JS. I want to just keep using that. Yeah. Love it.
Yep. No problem.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, folks. See ya. Bye-bye.